السنة مثل سفينة نوح، من ركبها نجا ومن تركها غرق.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد. As to what precedes, I understand that for some this may be difficult, studying two books at once. And also with regards to the timing, as you know that I am extremely busy, and again I will be traveling the day after tomorrow out of Medina for some important meetings. We are currently trying to work on a program, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, if Allah grants it success, will be beneficial for you students in the near future. Anyway, we'll move back to our Madkhal. So we finished the first Madkhal, which was the general Madkhal with regards to Talab al-Ilm and its virtues, فضائله وآدابه, and its etiquettes. Today we're going to discuss and start the discussion on Al-Usul ath-Thalathah, the preface concerning the book itself. So this is the second Madkhal, and this second Madkhal has a muqaddim, as an introduction. So today we're going to talk about the introduction, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Al-Imam Muhammad ibn al-Wahha rahimahullah ta'ala, his treatise Al-Usul ath-Thalathah wa Thalathat al-Usul wa adillatuha, was illustrated about 300 to 400 years ago. This risala, in this treatise, has outspread throughout the whole world. And the people have been studying it since it reached them. So when it was first illustrated, the people of that time, they started to read it and benefit from it. Then after them, the generations that followed them, generation after generation, you find that they started to study this risala until the third Saudi state was established by the noble king Malik Abdul Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala, until he made it compulsory in the curriculum of Saudi Arabia and its educational system. So the importance of this risala can be noted and highlighted, that King Abdul Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala, after establishing the Saudi state for the third time, he included it in the manhaj of the educational system of Saudi Arabia. due to this risala was widely accepted and successful and spread amongst the people, especially amongst the students who went to school. And the contents of this risala that it contains with regards to Tawhid, affirming the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His monotheism, and Usul ad-Din and al-Isla. Three things that this risala stands out for: Tawhid, Usul ad-Din and al-Isla, the essential issues relating to Islam. The noble king Malik Abdul Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala, until he made it compulsory in the curriculum of Saudi Arabia and its educational system. So the importance of this risala can be noted and highlighted, that King Abdul Aziz rahimahullah ta'ala, after establishing the Saudi state for the third time, he included it in the manhaj of the educational system of Saudi Arabia. Due to this risala was widely accepted and successful and spread amongst the people, especially amongst the students who went to school. And the contents of this risala that it contains with regards to Tawhid, affirming the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His monotheism, and Usul ad-Din and al-Isla. Three things that this risala stands out for: Tawhid, Usul ad-Din and al-Isla, the essential issues relating to Islam. So Tawhid, Usul ad-Din, Tawhid wa Usul ad-Din wa al-Islam are the core issues that are discussed in this risala. But when we look at this risala, we find that it has such great issues that have been discussed with it, whilst at the same time it is only a few pages. But these few pages have great messages and great meanings. A great message, a great meaning, a great clarification, especially when we look at the time and the condition when Al-Imam al-Mujaddid, Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah ta'ala, illustrated this treatise. That time period, when we go back 300 to 400 years back, when Al-Usul ath-Thalathah was circulated amongst the people. It was circulated at a time when strangeness was at its peak. This type of aqeedah, this type of message something which was strange and new to the people. It is due to this strangeness, ghurba, that they accused and slandered Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah of coming with something new, which they called al-Wahhabi. And everything that they saw or read in this risala, they seemed it to be strange, ghareeb. Because this risala, al-Usul ath-Thalathah, was addressing those people at that time amongst whom ignorance, al-Jahl, had prevailed. And majority of them at that time were people who were illiterate. They would not read or write. So this risala, when Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Wahhab rahimahullah, when he wrote it in a time in which talking about Tawhid was something strange. The content of the text or the treatise was also considered to be something strange. People were ignorant. Most of the people could not read and write. And on top of all this, all these problems, you had another greater problem, which was that the inhirafat aqadiyya, that the misguided beliefs, distorted, misguided, evil beliefs of the people which they had inherited from their forefathers, they held on to them with them all the teeth. And then the evil scholars of that time, what did they do? They beautified for them these wicked, misguided, and evil beliefs that contradicted the Quran and the Sunnah. And most of the people at that time, when they discussed about Tawhid, or when the word Tawhid was used, or utilized, or claimed that it was understood by them, they did not understand Tawhid except by knowing Tawhid or Rububiyyah. Uluhiyyah was not understood by anyone. If they did not understand Tawhid al-Uluhiyyah or al-Ibadah, then surely they could not differentiate between Rububiyyah and Uluhiyyah. The manabir of that time, the pulpits of that time, occupied by those who gave the khutbah, those who gave sermons and delivered sermons, on the manabir of the masajid, on the pulpits of the masjid, Ash-Shirkul Akbar was beautified and presented as Islam. This was the condition of, or the situation of, when Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah ta'ala wrote this. It is for this reason that you need to understand also knowledge, that the starting of this risala, this treatise, Al-Usul ath-Thalathah, was a very difficult beginning in terms of the people accepting this risala. Because this risala or treatise came with something that contradicted and opposed to that which the people had become accustomed to, upon which their upbringing had been done. And it also contradicted that which was beautified by the ulama, who would shout on their mimbars, the khutbah. Those who deliver the sermons would shout and voice on their members ash-shirk al-akbar as al-Isla. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had decreed that his religion, his deen, be purified and refined and renewed. And his Tawhid once again become predominant amongst the Muslims. So this unleashed sword, Muhammad ibn al-Wahhab rahimahullah, Allah chose him for this task. And through this risala, through this treatise, Al-Usul ath-Thalathah al-Thalatha al-Usul, the message of Tawhid started to spread amongst them. The people of that time took this risala. The Imams of the Masajid, when this risala reached them, and when they read it and saw the benefits of this, they started teaching it to their people. You saw that the ulama and the talabat al-ilm, they took this risala, the callers, and they went to the desert, to the Bedouins, and they taught them this risala. And it was the custom of the people in Saudi Arabia that before the academic school year started, that the young children would be taught this risala. And you would find that the imams of the masjid would sit with the elderly people, and he would make them repeat after him these usul. And he would teach them these usul with the adil. And he would do this repetitively, and he would ask them, Man Rabbuk? And the normal layman would answer, and he would say, Rabbi Allah. And then he would say to him, what's the evidence that Allah is your Rabb? And then the army would say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. He would ask him, what is Islam? And he would respond back by saying, Al-Istislamu lillahi bit-Tawhid, wal-inqiyadu lahu bit-ta'a wal-bara'atu min ash-shirki wa ahli. And then he would ask him, with what was Muhammad sent with? He would say, Ursila bit-Tawhid. One of the shirk has been sent to establish Tawhid and to eliminate ash-shirk. We ask him, what's the evidence for this? That he has come to establish Tawhid and eliminate shirk? He would say, Allah says in the Quran, Ya ayyuhal muddathir, qum fa'anbir, wa rabbaka fakabbir, wa thiyabaka fatahhir, وَالرُّجْزَ فَهْجُرْ. And this is how you saw this treatise. It brought a change. It revived and purified the beliefs of the people. So this army who was upon misguidance, his aqidah would be purified. After that which had entered from the corruption and the misguidance and the evil that was found within his aqidah, you would find that all this fasad, all this dalalat, you would see farming and cultivating in the farms, and his aqidah would be purified. You would see the businessman doing his business, and his aqidah would be purified. And you would see the shepherd grazing his sheep, and you would see that his aqidah would have been purified. This revival and rectification was so great that it reached the women in their houses. And it rectified their aqidah. And the role of a woman is very important in the house, as we know. And this is something which is very important for us to know, the background of this risala. This risala has a great status, a noble, elevated status with regards to the scholars and the leaders or the princes of Saudi Arabia. Due to it having this great status and acceptance, this risala was included and merged into the elementary level of education. When the child completes the kindergarten, and when he goes to al-Ibtidai, elementary level of school, he would learn this and study this risala. So this risala was learned by the old and the young, the male and the female, the talibul ilm as well as the ami, for everybody. And the question that needs to be asked here: that the impact of this risala, al-Usul ath-Thalathah, from the time it was illustrated till this day, has it always had a deep impact and a strong impact? Or has there been occasions and times where, due to many reasons from amongst the reasons, the impact has decreased amongst the people? Who can answer this question? Who has any idea? Are you following so far what I have been saying with regards to the muqaddim? Question is, from the time this treatise was illustrated by Shaykh al-Isla, we know that when it rectified and purified thousands of people's aqidah and their houses, has this risala always had a positive impact upon the people, or has it been up and down? At times, due to certain reasons, the impact has decreased. No doubt that this risala, its importance and its value has decreased amongst many people and places. And why is that? The question that needs to be asked is, why is that? Because the content of the risala, the reason of why it was illustrated, is unknown to the people. There is jahl. There is ignorance. People are ignorant of the objective or the goal of this risala. They are ignorant of who this risala is addressing and the circumstances in which this risala was written. And being ignorant of such issues devalues and decreases the impact and the effect that this risala will have, without any doubt. Just as knowing the reality and the background and the reasons that have been mentioned will strengthen and the impact will increase, the effect will be generalized and outspread. So it works both ways. وَبَعْدُ النَّاسِ, and some of the people, as it can be witnessed today, from some of the students who study this Risala. They go through this Risala, al-Usul ath-Thalathah, only to achieve and obtain an ijazah or a certificate, or to memorize it, and not giving its importance, its real importance. And that is for that Risala to have the impact upon which it was written, and with the intention that it was written. And this is a calamity, a karitha amongst the people. That the focus is only on the memorization and not on the implementation and the comprehension. And then you find some of the people, وَبَعْدُ النَّاسِ, they go through this Risala, al-Usul ath-Thalatha, Thalathat al-Usul, because it is said to them that if you want to be a student of knowledge, this is the way of being a student of knowledge. You have to memorize this Risala. You have to start with this Risala. This is the only reason why they are studying Al-Usul ath-Thalathah. So this student of knowledge just takes this Risala because everybody else is studying it. Everybody has that textbook and everybody's studying it, so he's studying it. Or she's studying. So he's not really bothered. Oh, I need to do this in order to move on to the big books. So there is no impact in the life of that person after studying Al-Usul ath-Thalathah. That's why you will see many of them that they memorize Al-Usul ath-Thalathah. They read Al-Usul ath-Thalathah, and then they sit with the deviants who wage war or promote the deviants who wage war against the da'wah of Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad al-Wahhab rahimahullah ta'ala, who are upon the manhaj of Ikhwan and the enemies of the Sunnah and its people. You see these same people teaching, sitting with them and promoting them and having tea and biscuits with them and partying with them and making clips with them. And this is the reality of these people, that the Risala has had no real impact upon their lives. Because it's a contradiction of teaching something theoretically and not practically applying it. And this is the hal. So therefore you see them sit with those who venerate and promote, and sit with those who wage war against this al-aqidatu sunniyatu salafiyya. And if you ask them, they say, well, I'm not upon this. So what benefit is this memorization and teaching night and day when the ta'thir or the impact or the effect of this Risala is zilch? And some of them, they study this Risala because they see that everybody that is becoming a student of knowledge wants to become a student of knowledge. They're studying it, so he or she studies it. That's the reason. Now, the real reason of why she is studying or he's studying this Risala is not known to that person. Nor is it ever explained. People are doing it, I'm doing it. Oh, there's a bundle, £20. Everybody's studying Al-Usul ath-Thalatha. Everybody's saying the ulama said I should study this Risala. Khalas, that's it. I'm studying. Pay £20 and let me study this Risala. Let me take the bundle. The maqsood or the intent or the goal or the objective of this Risala is not known by the one who has enrolled or applied to study this course. Not discussing whether the person who's teaching it is qualified to teach. So that's a different issue. And then you see these people in our time, that they are explaining this Risala. What's the problem for those who explain this Risala? They are not qualified, firstly, to teach and explain this Risala. And secondly, they don't have the comprehension and the understanding to convey the ma'ani, the meanings or the intent of Shaykh al-Islam al-Wahha rahimahullah ta'ala al-wajh al-matlub, with the correct intention that Shaykh al-Islam had when he wrote this treatise. And this is the importance, osters of knowledge, of knowing this issue which is of great importance. The intent of the Madkhal for Al-Usul ath-Thalathah, the maqsad or the intent is to prepare the student of knowledge to become strong, and that the Risala has the maximum impact upon the student when he studies it. And to clarify the best methodology of how a student of knowledge should deal and be with an important Islamic text which he intends or she intends to study. The akmal way, the most complete way, the ahsan, the best way of how you and this text of yours become part and parcel and become one of how you should be dealing with this text. It is for this reason that the structure or the preface or some important information or data before delving into the Risala related to the Risala is very important. So that the student of knowledge prepares him or herself of that which is going to come forward, and that the mechanism, the foundation and the fundamental that this Risala is going to be built upon is firm, so that the maximum impact and effect can be right from studying this Risala. Because knowledge, the mechanism of knowledge is built upon ba'duha ba'd, upon one another. And the one who does not acquaint him or herself and does not comprehend this and does not prepare him or herself for this Risala in this manner, or any text that they study, then the ulama have a term for such a person. They call that person ma'lumatiyan. Information. You know, information desk, what does information desk do? Tuck, 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 tuck. It doesn't explain anything to you, it's just tuck, tuck, tuck. It's just information. Collated information. So that person will be ma'lumatiyan, and he will not be a talibul ilm. You understand the difference between ma'lumatiyan and a talibul ilm? Collated information, that's it. Ma'lumati. So we need that the talibul ilm be prepared, that the ilm that he or she is going to obtain is built upon a a surface or a mechanism that will go into their hearts, into their breasts, shay'an fa shay'an, fi sudurihim, gradually, appropriately, in the dose or the portion that it should go into. And this is the reason of why I wanted to mention this today in today's lecture with regards to the muqaddim. That once a person's mechanism is built, then the contemporary issues and the obstacles that will come before that student of knowledge, he will be able or she will be able to protect themselves from this. And this is why some of the Salaf used to say, and I will end this muqaddimah today. They say, fasadul adyani bi nisbi faqih wa fasadul abdani bi nisfi tabib. Now, who understood this? And this is what we have today. The mess and the state or condition of the da'wah in the West is due to those people who are not even nisfaqi. They're not even half jurists. They're not even quote. Aslan, they have just not studied. They are all ma'lumatiyun. This qaswa lask that you find on the internet or Google, this, and this, read out and add you 20 pence. These are all called, all of them, as the people of knowledge call them, ma'lumatiyun. Or he's a ma'lumatiyun. And the Salaf used to say, nisfaqi, somebody who has some background. Today we don't even have those who have some background. They've never left their homes to study knowledge. They think they're coming to Umrah trips and going on the buggies and sitting on the swings and doing all this and going to, these tarfihat of these places where the fairs are and the dodgers. This is all talab al-ilm. And they come back and they say, I've studied with the people, I sat with the people of knowledge. فساد الأديان بنسب فقيه وفساد الأبدان بنسب طبيب. That's why they say that if you're a half a doctor, don't go to half a doctor, it's going to kill you. What's he going to do? He's going to kill you. You're going to give yourself to be operated on a half a doctor. Which of you will do this? Somebody tells you, this guy, he's only read the dummy's guide of how to be a doctor, a surgeon. You're going to allow him to operate on you? Do surgery on you, huh? Answer. فساد الأديان بنصف فقيه وفساد الأبدان بنصف طبيب. So this theoretical aspect of Al-Usul ath-Thalathah is not what is intended in my lessons. I've conducted a thorough study of this risala in detail, so that when I teach this risala, and once I will teach this risala to my students, and then after that, only Allah knows, it will be taught in the correct context and upon the methodology of the scholars. Salaf used to say that the corruption of your religion is due to going to somebody who is a half a scholar. Just like the corruption of your good health is going to a half a doctor. What happens when you go to a half a doctor? What's going to happen to your health? He's going to destroy it. What happens when you go to somebody who has not studied in the standard manner of studying the religion, traveling and sitting with the scholars and taking the knowledge from the scholars, and that? He's just done a bit of studying here and there, traveling on a few umrah trips and there, and just studying, sitting here and sitting there. And then he comes and sits forward and starts teaching and starts charging and starts putting bundles, and it's going to happen. فساد الأديان بنصف فقيه وفساد الأبدان بنصف طبيب. نصف فقيه بنصف طبيب. So what happens when you go to a person who has not fully studied the tafsir of the Quran and he starts giving you rulings on the Quran? What happens when he's just studied a bit, one science of it? What's going to happen? I'm asking you the question. What's he going to do to your religion? Is he going to corrupt it, or is he going to corrupt it? What happens when you go to a second or third year student in medicine and tell him to operate on you? حفظه. So the parallel has been drawn as just as you would not go to a half a doctor, don't go to somebody who is not qualified to teach. And this perception that the people have, just because you're a graduate at the Islamic University of Medina, khalas, you're the man. Oh Wallahi, one of the sheikhs, he told me the day I graduated from the Islamic University of Medina, he took me to the side and he said, today is the first day of your seeking of knowledge. This is when your seeking of knowledge now really starts. That's why you have people who have graduated from the Islamic University of Medina, from the West, they're teaching the fiqh of chilling. Have you ever heard the fiqh of chilling? The fiqh of chilling. I was shocked. And this person who was teaching the fiqh of chilling was known in Medina to always be chilling in these cafes, where a talib al-ilm to go into such cafes would be considered to be khawarim al-murwa. So when somebody said to me that this guy is teaching, I remember this guy, I said, this guy has always been seen, always been known, people have always been saying that this is where he used to chill, from this cafe to that cafe. So he's teaching the right thing. The fiqh of chilling, he's definitely mastered it. Fiqh of chilling. I was shocked. The word fiqh with chilling, with the slick hairstyles, and there's people who actually paid money to go on this course called fiqh of chilling. You search it up and you'll find it, fiqh of chilling. And somebody told me, I said, never saw this guy in any of the gatherings of the scholars, but he was always known to be in those cafes where there was all these pool tables and all this. I don't say that these things are haram in its essence. But for a talib al-ilm, for those of you who studied mustalah will know when I'm talking about khawarim al-muru'ah. Let alone the haram that might have been committed there with smoking and all the other things that happen. That's a place for a talib al-ilm to go. Anyway, we'll stop here bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. So this was the beginning that I wanted to present to give you that nudge and open your eyes with regards to the muqaddimah, with regards to Thalathat al-Usul wa Adillah, and give you some background. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you all, and I pray to Allah that we are successful in studying and reading the Risala, just as Allah made Muhammad ibn al-Wahhab rahimahullah successful when he wrote it and with the intention that he wrote it. Now, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. 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 الله الله المرجت 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 الله المرجت